Hey everybody, it is Dak here from the Ed Boys, and welcome to my updated Tithe Farm guide. The Tithe Farm is a farming minigame that can be used to grind out continuous farming XP, unlike traditional farming, which consists of like bursts of XP whenever you take a farming run. Tithe got some updates a little while back, so it is time for the updated guide. You no longer need any Hosidius favor to use the farm. They have removed the favor system, so you just need 34 farming to get in there. You can only plant the lower tier seeds at 34, but you unlock mid-tier seeds at 54, and the high tier seeds at 74 farming. It is very convenient to have the humidify spell, which does require 68 magic, and the lunar spellbook, so you do have to complete lunar diplomacy. It's not a requirement for this content, but overall 68 mage and lunar diplomacy is worth doing for your account if you haven't done it yet. For your gear, it is best to wear graceful since you will be running a lot. The farmer's outfit, which is a reward from the Tithe Farm, does give a little bit of bonus farming XP, so once you unlock it, it is worth slotting those pieces in. In your inventory, you're going to need a spade, a seed dibber, and then some watering cans, since that is mostly what you'll be doing is watering plants. I'll be using the Grisolar's can in these clips, which is a reward from the Tithe Farm, but before you have that can, I usually just bring like 10 normal watering cans. Down here, I do have fire, water, and astral runes for the humidify spell, which can be used to fill up your watering cans very quickly instead of having to use them on one of the watering sources in the farm. Again, it is not required, but it is pretty convenient, especially before you get that Grisolar's can. Finally, I do have a stamina potion, which you may need like a few of them if you plan on being here for a while. It is important to keep running as much as possible while farming the fruits. The farm is located in the city of Hosidius, located in Great Corend. To get there, you can use the Xerix Glade teleport on the Xerix Talisman. There is a good fairy ring at code AKR that's pretty close. The Lovacaine minecart system also has a station right at the Tithe Farm entrance. There's no bank at the farm, not that you really need to bank during the process, but there is a bank at the vineyard really close by if you ever need it. And then once you've entered the Tithe Farm at least one time, you can use the grouping teleport to teleport right there, which does have a 20-minute cooldown. When you arrive at the farm, you can take some seeds off of the table. You want to take the highest seeds that you can do for best XP, but different level of seeds won't affect the amount of rewards points that you get. You can take up to 10,000, which is a lot better than the max of 100 you used to be able to take. You should never really turn in more than 2,800 fruit at a time for maxing out points, and that's like 37 hours of Tithe without leaving, so you're not going to use all these seeds. Inside the farm, there's a bunch of patches. You're never going to need all of them at once, but you are going to be planting like 20 to 25 spots at a time. Use a seed on a patch to plant it, and then you can just click the seed on the ground or use your watering can on it to water the seed. When you first plant a seed in the ground, there's a little bit of extra delay if you just click the spot and your character automatically waters it, so it's actually slightly better to use your watering can on the seed right after you plant it, and then just click the spot the rest of the times that you're watering that plant. Every minute the plant is going to grow into the next stage. Unless you didn't water it, then it's going to die and you waste that seed and you have to take out that dead plant. You do need to re-water the plant every time that it grows, or it's going to die 1 minute later. After 3 growth stages, it'll be fully grown and you can harvest the plant for some fruit. These stackable fruits can be turned into one of the sacks around the farm to get your points and some more farming XP. You even get bonus XP on your 75th and your 100th fruit deposited, and after 100 fruits deposited, it resets that number. So every 100 fruit, you get a pretty good chunk of XP. It's not as important as it used to be to deposit your fruit in like bundles of 100, but we'll talk about how the points work in the rewards section. There's a lot of water barrels around the arena that you can use to fill up your buckets if you don't have humidify. It is best to fill up your water when you don't have like any seeds in the ground currently planted so that you don't lose any ticks and potentially lose some fruit. When you enter the farm, you're given some fertilizer. Using this fertilizer on a plant does make it grow twice as fast, so like every 30 seconds it'll be a growth stage. It's not actually that helpful even though it sounds like it. The most optimal strategies have you planting as many seeds as possible while the plants are growing, so you could just drop the fertilizer. I'm going to give a couple examples of a full run of growing fruit, starting with doing 20 fruits at a time. When you first get started on a run, if you're moving slow and you're losing a lot of ticks, then you might want to start like with less fruits, but there's really not that much punishment for letting a fruit die if you're too slow, and it's easy to push up to the 20 to 25 limit once you get used to it. The process is pretty straightforward. Use a seed on an empty spot and then use your watering can on the spot and move on to the next. It is best to zigzag a little bit when planting, and it's also good to try to always move at least 2 squares when you're moving to the next fruit. Anytime that your character is just walking 1 square instead of running 2, you're not getting as much distance as you could have, and it does add up in the long run. Though it's not a huge deal until you try to do like 25 fruit per run. I go all the way down zigzagging both of these rows and then just plant another 4 in the plot down here, and then we can go ahead and get back to the first fruit and just start re-watering since they have started growing. If you're zigzagging and you're doing your best not to miss any ticks, you're going to find that you're waiting a little bit on the last fruits for this method. That generally means that you could attempt the 25 fruit method that we're talking about about next. When all the fruits are grown, you can harvest them all before planting any more seeds. There is a combo method where you can replant the seeds while you are harvesting, but I much prefer the 25 fruit method over that. And then you just rinse and repeat. It's best to use humidify when you're like running back to that first fruit that you started with, but if you're not using humidify, just right after you harvested your fruit and you're going to plant again, make sure to refill your watering cans. Here's a look at the 25 fruit method. This is a lot more click intensive, making the content more engaging, but more of a pain in the ass, to be honest. So sticking to just 20 fruits at a time is no problem. For this method to work, you are going to need to miss like very few ticks. You'll need to take advantage of a zigzagging pattern to cover more ground. It is important to be using your watering can on the patch right after you plant a seed instead of just clicking on the newly planted seed. And you want to avoid walking like a single square at a time. Try to always be running 2 squares as often as possible. To do this, you generally want to click on the ground for your character to move, then quickly click on the patch afterwards, instead of just clicking on the patch or using an item on it and letting your character auto walk there. If your character auto walks to the next plot, they often will just take the 1 step to get there, and then you need 3 steps to get to the next spot, which requires an extra tick. It may not seem like much, but it makes a big difference for this method. I do have screen markers for this method. If you want to use these markers, there's a paste bin in the description. You can click on that and then copy these to your clipboard. If you're on RuneLite and you're using the ground markers plugin, you can then right click on the view map button while you're standing in the farm and click import ground markers. That'll take the ground markers from your clipboard and add them to your screen. We have squares showing where I'm standing when I'm planting and watering. I have patches marked with numbers to show the order of the plants that you're doing, and then the numbers that are highlighted blue, you want to click on the ground to walk to the plant, then use your item instead of letting your character auto walk, and the ones in green, you can let your character auto move to it. It's always safe to just manually walk to each spot though if you don't want to pay attention to that. When you're first planting the seeds is when it's most click intensive. You have to use the seed on the patch, then use your watering can on the seed. I'm using the watering can as soon as I see the plant's timer turn orange. This timer is from the Tithe Farm RuneLite plugin. You can also just use your watering can on the seed as soon as you see a seedling appear in the patch. I then click on the next square to stand on, quickly use my seed on the patch, and then quickly use my watering can on the patch. When traveling to the green squares, I don't have to first click on the square on the ground. Sometimes I do that just out of habit though. You gotta make sure that you plant and water in the correct order according to the numbers that I've laid on the patches, and then just always be running and standing on the correct squares whenever you're doing your actions, and you are good to go. Once you've gone a full lap and you've planted all the seeds, you can then just click on each patch when you go to water them instead of using your watering can in the patch. You just still have to make sure to click on the squares and run over there first. You don't want to miss very many ticks, but you don't have to be tick perfect to get all 25 fruit. I did make a few mistakes in my first few rounds, including this one you're looking at here, which seems like a pretty big mistake, and I still didn't have any of the fruit die. You do want to fill your watering cans after completing a full 25 fruit run. You could squeeze a humidify in there in the middle of the run. It's not the worst option, but you might lose a couple ticks. When done correctly, it should take you just under 20 minutes to get 100 fruit from this method, more like 19 minutes per 100 fruit. If you have any questions about the 25 fruit run or the Tithe Farm mechanics in general, let me know in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Let's talk about the rewards from the Tithe Farm. First of all, the XP rates. The XP an hour does depend on how many fruit you're depositing and which level of fruit you're using. So just at 54 and 74 farming, when you unlock the better plants, you are going to get a jump in XP. You get bonus XP on the 75th and the 100th fruit that you turn in, and then every 100 fruit that resets that number. So every 100 fruit you get full XP. You don't have to do 100 fruit at a time, but it's generally the way to go. With 20 fruit runs at the lowest level of fruit, Gallanova fruits, you're going to be getting 22k farming XP an hour. And then 25 fruit runs with the Logavanos is going to be up to like 110k farming XP an hour. No matter which fruit you're growing, you get the same amount of reward points, 1 point for every 3 fruit you turn in. The max pace with 25 fruit method or even the 24 fruit combo method is about 110 points per hour. If you're only sending the 20 fruit run, you're going to get more like 75 to 80 points per hour. You can spend these points at Farmer Grisola's shop by right-clicking on him and opening up the shop. Here you can purchase the farmer's outfit. Each piece of the outfit gives a little bonus farming XP, up to 2.5% with the full outfit, costing 400 total points. You can buy your seed box for 250 points. It holds up to 6 different types of seeds, mostly nice for Slayer or pickpocketing master farmers. You can get your herb sack, also for 250 points, which holds up to 30 of each type of grimy herb, great for Slayer and herbivore hunting. The Grisola's can is a watering can that holds up to 1,000 charges. I love this for Tithe Farm grinding. There's the auto weed for 50 points. This will make it so that weeds no no longer grow back in your farming patches. Any patches that currently have weeds will still have them, but like once you get rid of them, they won't grow back. And then you can spend any more points you have on compost, super compost, grape seeds, herb boxes, or seed boxes. Technically, you can get the farming pet from the Tithe Farm anytime that you harvest a fruit, but it is insanely rare, so good luck. If you have any questions about the Tithe Farm, be sure to let me know in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you enjoyed the video or you just got some useful information, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you very much for watching, and best of luck on your Tithe Farm grinds.